Since 5th of August, when Sheikh Hasina was ousted from Bangladesh, and she's been seeking asylum and has been taking refuge in India. The first bilateral between New Delhi and Dhaka took place at the sidelines of the UNGA. Extremely important when External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar met his Bangladeshi counterpart in New York. Remember, India-Bangladesh have a very deep strategic and economic relationship, social engagement as well, and that was being tested, is still being tested, given the fact that Muhammad Yunus's interim government does have a lot of support from extreme hardline elements as well. So what does this mean for the New Delhi-Dhaka relationship at a time when the army chief has also thrown his weight completely behind Muhammad Yunus? Remember, there's clamour that Yunus is unconstitutionally elected. His government doesn't have any legitimacy. The fact that he has the army's backing indicates that is it moving a step away from democracy? How does that add up in terms of New Delhi's equation with Dhaka is the first debate on India Global. Okay, let's open this up. Muqtadir Rashid and Tara Kartha with me on the broadcast. In fact, Mr. Rashid, let me start with you. This is a very important beginning of a bilateral engagement that has started between India and the current Bangladeshi political dispensation. How do you read it?
Honestly speaking, this is a very good move from both the sides, like Bangladesh and India, so that these are the trusted partner for years, for decades. So I obviously said I appreciate this move when Mr. Jaishankar and Tawhid Hussain met at the sidelines of UNGA. So we need Bangladesh and India need more consultation from the security aspect to the people-to-people contacts in terms of widen their geopolitical engagement. So unless you talk, unless you get engaged, it would be India for Indian strategic partnership. It would be big blunder. Many strategic analysts they said that it would be a big blunder for the India. On the other hand,
right? Yeah, finish your point. Finish your point.
On the other hand. Unless you talk, unless you have the issue on the discussion, then it would be, nobody can address the problem. Look, the minority attacks on minority, Bangladesh government is struggling to solve the crisis.
That's a very important point you made,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
that unless discussions happen, then how can bilateral relations improve? So to that effect, the fact that discussions have started, the fact that there is now bilateral engagement happening is a very important step towards normalcy. Dr. Kartha, how do you read that? And then I come back and ask you specifically about the army chief. Where does it mean as far as the democracy and the democratic framework of Bangladesh is concerned? Are we still some time away from that? But I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. But first up, the fact that bilateral engagement has started indicates steps towards normalcy in relationship.
Yes, I mean, I would totally second what the earlier speaker said. I mean, you have to talk to each other. Bangladesh is your neighbor, it's not going anywhere. And well, any relationship has its ups and downs, right? I mean, for that matter, consider the US relationship with Mexico. Oh my God, it's a terrible state of affairs. So you have a far better relationship with Bangladesh. You've got excellent trade relations. And in fact, what I remark is within 2 days of the crisis, trade resumed. You see, because there are hundreds of people on both sides who are dependent on this trade. And both sides know it. So one can expect a certain amount of posturing from some elements within the government, within the caretaker government, which is expected given the circumstances. You have to get past that. And as mature countries on both sides, I think this meeting lays the groundwork. Plus, the ambassador also met the BNP leaders. So we are moving in the right direction.
Are some of India's concerns being addressed, do you think? The fact that relationship is warming, inching towards normalcy. Do you think, Dr. Tara, that some of the concerns that New Delhi had about extreme elements being mainstreamed electorally, being mainstreamed within the government, are some of those concerns, do you think, now being addressed?
It's going to take a while because, well, let's say Mohammed Yunus, while being on the right path and having the right background, doesn't really have the clout to take on anybody right now. I mean, he himself is, while he commands a huge amount of respect within the country,
But doesn't have enough political capital. That's the point.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me ask this then to Mr. Rashid as well, which is that while discussions have started, this is indicative of warming up of ties. What about some of the fundamental issues in which New Delhi has raised concerns, or those remain legitimate areas of India's concerns? One is the fact that there are extreme elements that are being mainstream. Secondly, the fact that the army chief is backing Mohammed Yunus's interim government gives a sense in New Delhi that the march towards democracy is just getting longer and could probably take much longer than what many envisaged.
First of all, I must say that I don't know what do you mean by the extreme element. When you don't have democratic norms or practices on the ground, you must have you definitely have extreme element. It happened in Afghanistan, it happened in Pakistan, and many other countries.
I don't think people in Bangladesh want to compare themselves to Afghanistan and Pakistan. I don't think so. So we don't need those comparisons.
Of course. But that's what I'm saying.
You're faring better than them.
Yeah, of course. When you don't have the democratic practice, and it didn't have, we didn't have the election for many years. So the people's aspiration is for the democratic values so high. So in comparison to that, the army was so popular, among the students, among the people. Why it is so? Because the police and the ruling party were killing the people, killing the student, the passerby, kids. So the army didn't intervene. They only held the student and create a buffer zone from the killing, from the attacks of the police and other element. I would say they're this extremist element. You can't imagine. You can't see how police.
Okay, so you are saying there are no extreme elements right now within the government. Okay.
I don't believe that there are any extremist element in the government.
Dr. Karta, do you buy that? And by that, do you think India buys some of this logic that is being given?
No, I'm afraid not. I mean, I think the point that you made, Gauri, is very valid. I don't think they should. You're a democratic. I mean, Bangladesh is a country with a history of democracy, so you can't really compare yourself with others. Number two is that the fact that you're seeing very contrived violence. Much of this violence is contrived. There's a lot of disinformation around. There's a lot of deliberate targeting of India. I mean, this is an effort to sour India-Bangladesh relations. And some of the history of those elements, we know that they wanted India-Bangladesh relations out. And also, of course, the people from outside. I mean, I wouldn't not absolve certain countries also from interfering. But I think Bangladesh has to accept that these elements are there and you have to deal with them. I think the army is also aware of it, though they had a meeting with some of them. But nonetheless, one important aspect, Gauri, since you asked, is also the army chief also said that they will want elections within a year and a half. That's the outside limit he's put. So so far as we see, the army is a stabilizing element. So I think it works. He's clearly wants elections down the line, and so does everybody else, except I don't know how the electoral reforms are going to take place. It's not possible under constitutional.
So he wants constitutional reform, judicial reform, electoral reforms, everything in the matter of 18 months being his outer limit when elections must take place. I think it's just about pushing the issue so far ahead that we discuss it at another time. But before we move ahead, let's listen into what the Bangladesh Foreign Advisor had to say specifically about the attacks on minorities, Bangladeshi Hindus there. Let's listen into that. We come back and talk more on that.
Any violence that has taken place, some violence has taken place, let us say it correctly. Any violence that has taken place is being shown as violence against Hindus. This is not correct. I think the Indian media needs to come out of this hyping of this issue. We are doing everything possible for the protection of our citizens, and these Hindus in Bangladesh are our citizens. We are taking care of them.
Okay. Quickly, I'm running out of time, but this is a question I throw up to both of you. In fact, Mr. Rashid, let me start with you. There are some teething concerns in this relationship. Trade is being resumed, the Hilsa issue is also being addressed, but fundamentally security concerns are being inadequately addressed. That's what New Delhi feels. How do you think that can be bridged, that trust deficit?
Honestly, you don't know that we never think that Hindu is our. We don't separated Hindu from our nationality. That we don't identify Hindu as another citizen or other citizen of the country. We do believe that we are the same. We have the equal footing. We have the every equal rights everywhere. But when you only talk about that, especially when Delhi only focus on the religious issue, then it disturbed the Bangladeshi people, because when the people and 1,000 people were killed, and in Delhi didn't mention, even Joy Shankar in the parliament didn't mention when at the time more than 600 people were killed, and Joy Shankar didn't mention it in the parliament. So it happened only when the only Hindu are killed. So it's very.
No, I don't think anybody is saying only Hindus are killed. I don't think anybody said that. But I guess it is about targeted killings. That is what the point was. It was about targeted killings. What happened? The student protests were a different matter. In the aftermath of the overthrowing of the government, the targeted killings became a very important question. I'm afraid I'm completely out of time. I wish I could give Dr. Tarak Artha as well a chance to respond. Mr. Rashid, I have a feeling I'm going to come back to you in another couple of days and let you respond to that, because this is a developing story.